Good afternoon. I'd like to call a special meeting of the Dare County Board of Education to order. Today is Monday, January 9th, 2023. And we're meeting at the Dare County Administration Building in Manteo. And the time is now 3:30 p.m. As we begin, I'd like to request a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
How do these things work again?
Your red ring is lit up, you're on. If it's not, you're not.
Okay. But they're always. Oh, now they're not. Got it.
Who was the
Who made
the motion? We didn't hear.
Did you make the motion? Mr.
I
Wood?
thought somebody made a motion. I seconded it.
Who seconded?
Who made
Who made the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Mr. Woody makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Brower? Approve the second. Is there any discussion? Hear none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The agenda's been approved. Next, I'd like to request a motion to go into closed session. Is there a motion?
I was going to read it. I'll read it. Mr. Chairman, I move we go into closed session to consult with the Board of Education attorneys in closed session in order to preserve the attorney-client privileges as provided in N.C.G.S. 143-318.11A3. Also to consider confidential personnel matters as provided in N.C.G.S. 143-318.11A6, and to consider confidential student matters as provided in N.C.G.S. 143-318.11A1 and the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA 20 U.S.C. 1232G 34 CFR Part 99.
Is there a second?
I second.
Mr. Weicker seconds. We have a motion and a second, and we are now in closed session. I'd like to request a motion to return to open session.
Mr. Chairman, I move we return to open session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are now in open session. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the January 9th, 2023 meeting of the Dare County Board of Education. We're meeting at the Dare County Administration Building in Manteo at this time. It's now 5:01. Before we begin, I'd like to request a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Thank you. First, I'd like to recognize Commissioner Ross for being here tonight. Commissioner Ross, thank you so much for being here. And we definitely appreciate your support. Now I'll turn the meeting over to Ms. Susan Bothwell to provide the welcome and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to the first meeting of 2023. Welcome, Mr. Commissioner. It's nice to have commissioners in the house. My wish for this year is success, growth, and happiness for all the students, staff, and educators of Dare County Schools. As a Board of Education member, I intend to work diligently to achieve that goal. The Dare County Schools community needs to work together for the success of all of our students and staff. I would like also to ask everyone to say a prayer for our Manteo High School student that suffered some trauma in a game. And please send your thoughts and prayers to his family and for his successful continued recovery. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Bothwell. First order of business this evening is the approval of the agenda. But before we continue, I would like to request a motion to amend the agenda in order to revise the personnel consent agenda as discussed in closed session. Do I have a motion to amend the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move we amend the agenda in order to revise the personnel consent agenda as discussed in closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Woody. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weicker. We have a motion by Mr. Woody and seconded by Mr. Weicker. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All in favor of amending the agenda to revise the personnel consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda has been amended. Next, we need to approve the amended agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the amended agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Woody and a second by Mr. Brower. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for a vote. All in favor of approving the amended agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The amended agenda has been approved. Next, we'll move to public comment and turn the meeting over to Board Attorney, Mr. Brian Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 4 people who have signed up for public comment this evening. The board welcomes the opportunity to hear from the public during its regularly scheduled meetings. The public comment is open for members of the public, including parents and students, to voice compliments, concerns, or complaints about performance of school personnel, implementation of board policy, the quality of the education program, or school facilities. According to Board Policy 2340, presentations are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Obscene, vulgar, or profane statements, personal attacks and insults, and statements that are disruptive to the orderly operation of the meeting shall not be permitted. I want to thank all the commenters in advance for complying with these guidelines, and we are interested in hearing your comments. The first person who signed up is Olivia Sub.
Good evening. My name is Olivia Sugg, and I'm an editor-in-chief of Nighthawk News Magazine. I'm here to discuss student press freedom in our school system. In the past year, I have been to statewide and national journalism conferences with some of the best student-run publications in the country. As I spoke with countless other editors, I found it hard to believe that our school was one of the few at the conferences that had prior review in place, meaning that anything we publish must be reviewed by our principal, who has final authority on what can be printed. When I casually mentioned this regulation to other editors, they were shocked. In 2005, Dare County Schools changed the regulation for school-sponsored publications. Regulation Code 3630R states that the principal of the school shall have oversight authority over school-sponsored publications at the school level, and that any decision to restrict our style or content must be reasonably related to legitimate pedagogical concern. Operating under this regulation causes many issues, as legitimate pedagogical concern gives principals no real limit on what and how much can be censored. While First Flight Principal Chuck Lansing has been extremely cooperative with Nighthawk News, that is not the case with other journalism programs in Dare County or with Nighthawk News in the past. The requirement that student-produced media must be approved for publication infringes on students' basic First Amendment freedoms. Dare County Schools cannot expect to form civic-minded adults by infringing on our fundamental First Amendment right to freedom of the press. This infringement of our rights is something that can be easily fixed with a simple change in policy. I have emailed each of you this ideal district policy that already reflects the law in 16 states and countless other counties. The Dare County School District believes that freedom of expression and press freedom are fundamental principles of a democratic society that provide all citizens with the right to engage in a vigorous discussion of ideas, and the robust and free student press is critical to the development of informed and civic-minded adults. Freedom of expression through school-sponsored media is protected by the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. It is the policy of this district to ensure all students enjoy free speech and free press protections related to school-sponsored media, and to encourage students to become educated, informed, and responsible members of society. No expression made by students in the exercise of free speech or free press rights shall be deemed to be an expression of school or district policy. This change in policy would be monumental for school publications in Dare County, and I hope this change is something you will consider, as producing educated and informed members of society is not possible without granting students their basic constitutional rights. Thank you for your time, and if this speech does nothing but show you and other community members that students are capable of having a say in their education and board policy like I am doing right now, my fellow editors and I will be jumping for joy in class tomorrow. I'm a product of Dare County Schools, and the opportunities I've been afforded over the past 13 years as a DCS student have taught me more than I could ever convey, including the lesson that I am capable of being the change I want to see in my community. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Erica Rohrbacher.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Erica Rohrbacher, and I have been a full-time Dare County resident now for almost 10 years. My family moved to Nags Head from Charlotte, North Carolina when our son Aiden was just 3 years old. And we now have two boys. Aiden is 13 and Lewis is 6. They're here with me tonight. We are a homeschool family, and we are a homeschool family who is really into soccer. So when I heard that a few of my homeschool friends from down south had attended a Board of Education meeting in Hatteras toward the end of last year to encourage this board to consider allowing homeschool participation in sports and other activities, I was really excited to hear that you guys had a positive response to that. And I just wanted to let you know there are currently 51 registered homeschools listed as open in Dare County, in case you didn't know. And I know that many of those schools have multiple students, and I'm involved in a local homeschool co-op here that meets weekly. We have a majority of those are elementary students. As you get older in the homeschool world, there seem to be fewer and fewer kids who are actually homeschooled, and opportunities for socialization dwindle, as do opportunities for sports. What a great opportunity it would be for our kids to be able to meet with other kids with similar interests. There are a few of us from the Northern Beaches here tonight, and we're eager to hear information about this new policy that you're looking at, part-time admission of the homeschool students. If you guys raise your hand. Yeah, so that's our group here tonight. We're hopeful. We're excited about this possibility. And some of us are here tonight to demonstrate our support of your efforts to include homeschool families in Dare County school activities. If you're a homeschool, so I would say I can only speak for my family, but some of these families are probably in agreement with me when I say we're not homeschoolers because we're against public schools. We're not. We're just homeschooling because it's a privilege we've been provided by the republic in which we reside. Just as a parent can choose to send their child to a private school as an alternative to public school education, we can choose to educate our children at home. What another great opportunity for a choice that you're considering to provide us an opportunity to join in with your sports and other activities here in Dare County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next speaker is Macy Chauvaz. I hope I have pronounced that correct.
Hi, my name is Macy Chauvaz. I'm a parent of 3 children attending Dare County schools. The mission of our Board of Education is to support the students and staff by providing the necessary resources and support to ensure that every student is successful. I have serious concerns that some members of the board sitting in front of me now have neither the ability nor the interest to fulfill this mission. Members of this board ran campaigns spewing lies about the need to combat CRT and SEL in our schools, as well as anti-LGBTQIA rhetoric. Dare County schools follow curriculum put forward by the state of North Carolina. CRT is not included in it. SEL teaches students how to be kind to others. LGBTQIA young people are a part of the student body and should be welcomed. These are all facts, and I urge you to return to reality and focus on the real needs of our students and teachers. The only reason to bring these up in your campaigns are because you either do not understand the curriculum or to pander to your far-right extremist base, neither of which is good for the students of Dare County schools. This board has elected leadership who have been on national white supremacist talk shows spewing anti-immigrant student sentiments, including dissatisfaction with educating migrant children in public schools. Blatant disregard for the rights of non-English speaking students is incomprehensible. Landmark Supreme Court cases Lau v. Nichols and Plyer v. Doe establish rights to have ESL instructions and that all children have equal rights to education regardless of citizenship. What kind of message does this send to our ESL teachers and students that we elected board leadership who not believe that they should be in our schools? How is this blatant disregard for national law going to translate into our local policies? Dare County schools do not need board members shining a xenophobic spotlight on us. This is not who we are or who we want to be. This board has elected leadership that escalated interaction with a student to a point where they needed to be separated, egregious enough that it not only resulted in disciplinary actions, but demotion as well. We have elected leadership who have run campaigns based on retaliation against school administrators. We have board leadership who misrepresent their past employment in schools to get elected. What would happen if a teacher was found to falsify their application? What happens when students escalate to a menacing point? We cannot have higher expectations of our students than we do of our Board of Education members who govern them. Board members will face challenging situations and decisions. How can we trust that our leadership will be able to keep a level head, make unbiased assessment, have safe and appropriate interactions with our students when there's only a track record of not? These are not concerns we should be having. To those board members who have shown complete disregard for the mission you were elected to execute, you made a conscious choice to not prioritize Dare County students in your leadership change vote last month. We cannot have board leadership who do not believe in educating all of our children, who cannot tell the truth, who have dubious employment histories while on staff in schools. We cannot have board members who will not put the needs of our children above the letter behind their name that got them elected. Moving forward, you will only be considered an accomplice if you cannot stand up and do the right hard thing and elect leadership who can and will prioritize our students and teachers. Apathetic ignorance is no longer an option. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final speaker is Susie Walters.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. When looking at the Board of Education website for information regarding this meeting, I was able to view and print the agenda. However, there were no links to the backup information for review. Many of our towns and boards provide the full board packet for review by citizens via the web, excluding personnel and property matters which require closed session. For example, when looking at the Town of Nags Head website, I can either view the agenda in a PDF format, HTML format with links to supporting documentation, or the full packet view, which can be several hundred pages or more. This allows for transparency and greater community input prior to the meeting. Therefore, since much of your agenda today includes policies for technology within our school system, I ask that you consider providing the complete agenda information to the public in the future, excluding those items protected by law. Please put them on your website to provide comprehensive information to our community prior to your meetings. This will allow for greater support for our schools and a better informed citizenry. Information is power. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, that concludes public comment.
Thank you for your comments. Now I'll open the floor for any announcements from the board or superintendent. Mr. Blackstock?
I have one announcement. Just today, our transportation department had a surprise inspection by DPI to come and check out what was going on here. And they got a score that's the best score they've ever earned. And they've been first place in the state and, in multiple years, I think. And I'm going to kind of yield to David to explain what this 9.75 means. The average in the state is, I think, 33 point something, and a lower score is better. I don't know, Dave, can you explain what that is?
I'll be glad to. I'm very excited and happy for the transportation department in Dare County. It is a very hard road to do, and it takes the whole team. It's not just the maintenance department, the mechanics. It's also our bus drivers, our teacher assistants that sub on the bus. It takes the whole team to make that happen. There is over 175 inspection points that they pick from. And when the state comes in and does this inspection, they do 10% of your fleet. You have no choice. They pick the bus, and they also pick one local activity bus to inspect. So when that's done, the state comes in, pulls the bus in with the lead mechanic, and goes through from top to bottom underneath. It's unbelievable what they do, which is important. I mean, it is the safety of our students going to and from school, and also our activity events. So having a 9.75 is an outstanding. I think the last one was like 11.25 that we had. And then in 2010, we were rated the top 5 in the nation for transportation. So thanks to Alex and his staff, all of our bus drivers and our substitute bus drivers to make that happen. So it's awesome to hear.
Excellent. Yes, big round of applause. Yeah. We will now move to the next agenda item, which is approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Woody. Is there a second?
I second.
So Weicker has seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. We'll now move to reports and items for information, and I return the meeting over to Mr. Blackstock.
Members of the board, I just wanted to announce that the National School Board Association awarded our previous board a Silver Bell Award for their work in all members of the board actively working towards their 12 hours of training during the July 1st through June 30th timeframe. Congratulations to our previous board for winning this Silver Bell Award for their work in getting their training done last year. And we hope our current board will also work hard to get their training done and earn an award as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blackstock. The next item on the agenda is unfinished business. There are no items listed under the agenda for this board's consideration this evening. So I'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Shaw for presenting the first reading of proposed policy manual updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have quite a few proposed policy manual updates this month. These are first readings, which means as a general matter, they would not go into effect. First reading is an opportunity for the board and the public to see the policies. And then if anybody has any questions or concerns, it can be addressed over the next month. Revisions can be made. with final approval, if at all, on the second reading. The board does have the ability, if it wants, to approve a policy first and final on first reading. If there's some emergency or some reason that a policy has to be, should not wait for the next meeting. Many of these amendments are proposed by the North Carolina School Boards Association. They have a policy service. They send out policies, proposed revisions. Those revisions are reviewed by administrators with our council assistance as requested. Sometimes the School Boards Association's policies are fine as they are. Sometimes either administrators or we will suggest some tweaks or changes to those policies. We have quite a few. My inclination is not to go through them one by one, since it's a first read, but rather just to point out they're there. And if any board member has any questions about any of these policies, we certainly can talk about them. And of course, you can raise questions tonight, or you can raise questions over the next month as well, as if you have any additional thoughts. And be glad to respond to any questions board members might have.
Board members, any questions for Mr. Shaw?
Mr. Shaw, I'd like to thank you guys for working on this, the homeschool participation piece. It does require a revision of a policy plus a new policy, and also requires, if I'm speaking correctly, that we have some accountability with the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, and that they have some provisions that we have to maintain. That being said, I'm excited for an opportunity for all of the students in Dare County, whether they're homeschooled or in our schools, to have an opportunity to participate in an athletic, on an athletic team. I think coaches are a vital part of a child's upbringing, and being part of a team is super important. So I want to thank you and your staff for working with our principals and administration and central office staff to get this on paper. So thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to point out there that this is a matter, it's purely a matter of policy. It's for the board to determine. If you have that policy, then we want to make sure that it's legally appropriate. The concept of homeschool students participating is more of a policy matter than a legal matter. So when I say that they are proposals, they're up for the board consideration rather than a recommendation, as it were. It's really a purely board call. We have policy 3105, which is part-time admission of homeschool students, and we have policy 3620, which is extracurricular activities. It's that 3620 that would allow homeschool students to participate in extracurricular activities such as athletics if the policy passes. Ms. Balance had mentioned North Carolina High School Association. They have regulations for athletic participation that a student would have to be enrolled at least part-time in the Dare County schools. This policy reflects that requirement that would require, I believe, enrollment in 2 classes in order to be eligible to participate.
And those classes could be music, they could be theater, whatever.
I'm not aware of any particular limitation on those policies. They have to be existing, they have to be courses that are
Offered
part
at
of
the
the
school.
academic, program.
Is that a requirement?
That's a requirement with the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. Yes. And so on policy 3105, for example, the policy that's up for consideration would say student must enroll for at least 1/2 of the school day and take at least 1 course on campus each semester. So that would be the enrollment. Under this policy, a homeschool student could not be purely homeschooled and also participate on the Dare County teams. They'd have to be enrolled as a Dare County student, but that could be part-time.
Mr. Chair, I see there, we have a lot of technology, new policies and revised policy coming up in front of us tonight for the first reading. And we've recently heard from a community member of some more information on our technology. I'd like to see you reach out to the staff and look at the policies and see what we can do, adding that in if that's what the community is looking for. Especially, it's sad that we have it throughout all of our towns and possibly counties, but we're not having it here in Dare County schools. So let's look at that information and see where we can add that before we go and support that next month.
Okay.
I just want to clarify that the policies are primarily student technology policies. So what we're talking about may not fall under these policies, but I still agree we can take a look at that. Yeah.
I just think it's something to see if it, I went through, we're approving technology policies that was approved last year, June of 2022. So there's some updates that's going on too. So, I know things change and we need to go with the times and make sure we're up to date. But here it is, January 2023, and we just approved the policy June 2022. If sometime it's open, we can add that too. I'd like to see that take place.
Any other comments from the board? Mr. Shaw, thank you.
Thank you. And those policies could be taken, it's just, there's no action necessary unless it's needed.
Right.
So we will have a second reading.
You'd have a second reading. Now, I would throw one matter on that, on the homeschooling. It's my understanding that tryouts begin, is it February 1?
It's a very possibility it's February 1. I know practice starts the second week of February. So yeah, it's somewhere between February 1 and
So
the
that
9th.
might be an issue. Again, I'm not trying to presume whether the board would adopt the policy or not. If the board does not adopt the policy, then it's a moot point. If the board were to adopt the policy, the question is, what about there's no basis now for those students to try out and enroll. So I just raised that with the board.
Any other comments? All right, next I'll turn the meeting back over to Mr. Blackstock for presenting the second item under new business.
And on my agenda, it looks like Brian Shaw. Is it me or am I looking at the wrong thing?
Well, I guess it is. B, thank you.
I'd be happy
I
to.
had you.
Dare County, the county of Dare and the board have been negotiating a proposed memorandum of understanding for the use of athletic fields behind the First Flight schools, use by the schools, but also allowing use by the county during times that the students are not using these schools, those fields. And that would be a resource to the county and its citizens. And in return for that, the county is generously offered to provide some upgrades to that property in consideration of the county usage of it. There's a memorandum that has gone back a couple times between us and board attorneys and Mr. Houghton, county manager and attorney. And I think it's in place for the board to approve, if the board so wants, to approve that agreement.
So with that, is there a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between Dare County and the Dare County Board of Education for the use of First Flight athletics fields as requested?
Make a motion, we approve.
You have a motion and it's been seconded. Any discussion? No further discussion. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes between County of Dare and Board of Education for the first flight fields, athletic fields.
Now I think it's me.
Okay.
Mine is not nearly as exciting as that, actually, but this is a memorandum of understanding between the County of Dare and Dare County Board of Education for us to use county-owned and operated fueling stations. It's just a way for us to cooperate and not have our own fueling stations. They charge us some nominal fee to maintain that, and we're recommending approval of that MOU.
Question for that?
Go ahead.
Can I have a question for that? Have we looked into the operation during emergency management because they utilized in the past our facility?
You mean for fueling?
Mm-hmm.
I
They,
haven't looked into that.
currently, we're the only ones that has a fuel truck, and we go around and fuel emergency equipment.
Okay.
And also, at the time, we used to have two tanks that was generator. I don't know if the county currently has a generator or not, but we do. So
Okay.
I think that's something we need to add in to that agreement.
Is that part of this, though, or is this just to use
Is
their
use
fuel
of their-
pumps?
It's use of their fuel pumps, but I'm just saying, if they need an agreement, do we
Okay.
need agreement? I don't know if we need one or not.
Gotcha. So are
Okay.
you thinking we shouldn't approve this until we get another agreement, or should we?
I'm just saying, I guess
Yeah,
it's
I'm not sure.
That's you, Brian.
it's you, Brian.
Well, I don't know about this latest issue, so I don't know how that would work. But a couple approaches. One, you just approve this as it is, and then if anybody wants an amendment, we could suggest an amendment to it. Either the county would propose it or we could propose it. Now that'd be a two-step process, but that would have the benefit of approving what has been proposed so far. And then we look at it to see whether there's an amendment. Another one, a little bit looser, would be to approve this subject to any changes or amendments approved by the board chair, the superintendent, and the board attorney. And that allows an ability to amend it. You don't know what you're buying right now, but you would know that it would be approved by the chair, the superintendent, and the board attorney. That's another way of dealing with that if there's a desired amendment, and if there aren't any changes, then there would not be any. So either of those approaches, I think, would allow us
I'm just surprised because we've been utilizing their fuel and it's only gasoline for 10 years plus. And now we've got to come into an agreement, which is fine with me.
It's my understanding that the agreement's been done for several years.
Okay.
This is not a new
New
thing.
thing. Okay.
The difference was that we
It was
made,
never brought to us.
right, we
That's-
made, that's the
That's the
difference.
difference. It's never been brought to us.
And this might be on me, but the way I read the document, it looked to me like it needed board approval and not staff approval. So
Sounds
that's
good.
the difference. I
Sounds good,
apologize for that.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Don't apologize.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Don't apologize for being transparent.
Nope. You're doing your job.
But I don't think about trucks, though. I'm gonna find that out.
You're
So
doing a
I'll
job.
figure
You're doing a
that
great job. Thank you, buddy.
So we can approve this tonight and then amend it later if need be.
Absolutely. If there's a
Okay.
need to amendment, anybody recommends an amendment, we can do it.
Okay. So with that, do I hear a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the County of Dare and Dare County Board of Education for use of county-owned and operated fueling stations as requested?
So moved.
Ms. Bothwell, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I got a quick question.
Okay.
The existing facilities and on, I guess, Driftwood Drive, is that still up and running? Are you still using that?
This is the situation. It's still up and running. We currently have two tanks there. But when you utilize state funds to fill the units, they only have two state vehicles, okay? And the process goes in through a computer process. So back when I was in charge, I was utilizing anywhere from $15,000 to $18,000 of state funds for two vehicles. There's a reimbursement process that goes every month. So it was more work for in-house finance. So when we looked at the big picture, it was more affordable for us not to use state funds allocated for gas tank for 2 vehicles, it was cheaper for us to buy it from the county and utilize the other tanks for school buses, which 99% of them are diesel.
Yeah.
So, and then the local county was lawnmowers, weed eaters, and their trucks, and it was much more feasible for buying it from the county and less work on the central office staff doing what they call a 202, transferring the funds. So
Okay, but it's still up and running, so.
it is currently
Yeah,
still
so,
up and
okay.
running as far as I know. I know one tank is, I don't know about the other. I know at one time we looked in to do a transfer to do both tanks for diesel fuel, mainly for emergency management purposes.
Yeah.
But it was very costly at the time, and I don't know if that ever went through or not, but yes,
Do you know if there's any facilities down in Hatteras?
there is. The county
For
county has a
okay, so we
facility.
could use
and-
that too to fill up?
And we actually last year through our CIP, redone the fuel system for our school buses. I think it was right $80,000 for a new tank of, I think it's like 2,000 gallon fuel station. So Dare County School has a fueling system for our buses down Hatters.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Twitty. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. Those in favor of approving the memorandum of understanding between the County of Dare and Dare County Board of Education for use of county-owned and operated fueling stations as requested, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The final item under new business this evening, Mr. Blackstock.
And just actually, I don't know that this was mentioned. Mr. Bassnight is under the weather. I'm not indeed the superintendent. But there might be a policy that only allows one Steve up here at a time. I'm not really sure, but this memorandum is again kind of a standard thing where it's our memorandum of agreement between Dare County School Board of Education and the town of Southern Shores for providing our resource officer at Kitty Hawk Elementary School. On the initial memorandum that was sent to the board, there was an attachment that was referenced in that was not included, an Exhibit A that I put that by your desk now. There's nothing earth-shattering here. It's basically kind of the mode of operations for our resource officers, so I wanted you to have that as well. But this allows Southern Shores to provide our resource officer at Kitty Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Blackstock. With that, do I hear a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement between Dare County Board of Education and the town of Southern Shores for the school resource officer at Kitty Hawk Elementary School as requested?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Call for the vote. Those in favor of approving the memorandum of agreement between the Dare County Board of Education and the town of Southern Shores for the school resource officer at Kitty Hawk Elementary School as requested, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. This concludes our business portion of the meeting. I would like to now open the floor for comments from the board. Mr. Brower,
I have none.
Mr. Woody?
I guess the only thing that I was a little surprised with is the agenda packets that are sent out for the public. I do believe, I agree with Susan Walters on that, whatever we review that's not confidential or whatever needs to be put out there for public view. So that's it.
Thank you. Ms. Bothwell?
I mostly said my comments when I gave my speech.
Thank you. Mr. Wicker? Excuse me.
No, I have no comments tonight.
Yeah.
I probably, you guys know I always have something to say. So as a representative of District 4 Hatteras Island, first I'd like to ask my fellow board members and central office staff and members of the community to keep in your prayers the family of Stephen Hickman. He was a deputy sheriff who passed away 2 days before Christmas and has a child. Sad time. But on a better note, and he was such a beloved member of our community, and he will be sorely missed. I want to congratulate Jack Scarborough, who's also a deputy with the Sheriff's Department, who was awarded the Employee of the Month for the month of January. So we like to congratulate our officers. They are so good to our schools, and Sheriff Dowdy does such a great job in making sure that we're taken care of. And Jack is one of the members of Hatteras Island that goes above and beyond for all the citizens of Dare County. So congratulations to Jack. Next, I would like to congratulate the Board of Commissioners on their clean audit report. I know, Commissioner Ross, you guys work really hard to be responsible with our tax dollars, and we appreciate the support that our schools have with you. The funding formula has been such an amazing support to our school systems and guaranteeing that our students are funded properly to get the education they need. And I would also make note that out of the 100 counties in the state of North Carolina, for the past 19 out of 20 years, Dare County's local dollars, Dare County local government has given more local dollars than any other county in the state. And that is to be commended. We have been number one for 19 out of 20 years. That's huge. So thank you very much for your support. Last year we were number 2. Last year we were number 2 because of COVID. Right. Last year. Probably because of COVID money. Yeah. I guarantee, I'm confident you guys will take care of that. Thank you. Thank you. And all of the the Board of Commissioners for your hard work in making sure that we are well taken care of. Thank you. That's all. I'm done now.
Mr. Chairman, no comment. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this evening. I would like to request a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Accepted. We are now in adjournment. Thank you.